So thank you everyone for joining. I'm Nicola Quayle, one of the co-founders of AI Marketers Guild APAC, along with my colleagues Sushmita in Singapore and Dakshin Anadi in India. So great to have you all here, and we're very excited to see this community expand across the Asia Pacific region. Before I introduce our incredible guest speakers, we'll just do a little snapshot of who we are. So AI Marketers Guild was the brainchild of a US marketer, David Berkowitz. And after launching 2 years ago, it's grown to be a really significant community in North America and has since been bought out by Marketecture Media. But we wanted to create a regional community that showcased local pioneers in AI tools and applications, marketing best practice integrating AI, and world-class AI thought leaders with monthly webinars like this. So rather than dabbling on the fringes, we love that everyone here is leaning in. But today I am super excited to kind of see some examples of the award-winning and groundbreaking work of HyperCinema, who are revolutionizing how brands connect with customers through AI-powered personalized experiences. And I know there's a lot of superlatives in there, but you'll see shortly why this team deserve it. So born out of New Zealand digital agency GladEye during the, now infamous 2022 Gen AI boom, HyperCinema combines large language model, LLMs, AI-generated imagery and sound to create immersive attractions where visitors kind of become a star of their own brand story. So we're very honoured to have Jennifer Michtavy and Conrad Blight here today, who are going to share with us how they're helping brands push beyond basic personalisation and all around that kind of emotionally resonant on-brand content. So Conrad is the Chief Sales Officer at HyperCinema. He's lived 3 lives in creative productions. So first in the movie and commercial space, then websites and digital storytelling, and now Gen AI media, and works with teams all around the world to co-create location-based experiences. And then Jennifer, I actually first met Jennifer this year as we are both on the global advisory board for She Is AI. But Jennifer's got a background spanning molecular biology, edtech, and digital media, which is not a combo you see every day. But Jennifer brings a systems-first approach to creative problem solving. And at HyperCinema, she's focused on product strategy and designing workflows that are all around bringing that personalization to life. So without further ado, I'd like to now hand over to Conrad and Jennifer. Thank you both. Who'd like to start off?
Yeah, thanks so much, Nicola. And pleasure to meet you all. I'll drive the slides and we will hand the talking stick back and forth extensively. And I'll also preface it by saying, we're all about conversations, not presentations. It's one of our mottos. So please feel free to chat any questions, thoughts, concerns, issues, whatever bubbles up as we go, and Nicola and the team will just manage the right time to surface it in the moment or at the end, and then as we get to the final third of the meeting, just to preface this as well, I'm going to kind of see if we can put this forward to you. We're going to show you the platform we've built, the new paradigm that we think is emerging around marketing and content. And see what it inspires in you. And it might inspire questions and problems, but it also might inspire huge opportunities, pain points you've had, things that you'd love to do that you haven't been able to do before. And if you get thoughts like that, hold on to them. Love to throw it to you at the end, and we can bounce back and forth and kind of tell you, what kind of things might be possible, see what it inspires for you. So hold that thought. Beyond high first name. There we go. You're going to see my mug appear a little bit throughout. I'm one of the primary volunteers for personalization as it comes to likeness. So I've already lived thousands of lives in Gen AI, many more lives that I've lived in media. Just to preface what we're going to be talking about today, if you have been asking yourself, how can I personalize at a deeper level without exploding my team or my budgets? How can I move faster, produce more, while still protecting brand and quality? And how can I look to create meaningful connections, quality, media, content, inspiration for your consumers, not just flooding the zone with AI slop. Then you are in the right place, we hope. Who are we, and why should you trust that we know what we're talking about? With you today, Jennifer and Conrad, and I think we can already skip past this slide. Thank you for the lovely introduction. But HyperCinema, who do we work for? Describe ourselves as a world-leading Gen AI creative automation platform. Again, stringing some big words together there, but hopefully by the end of this presentation, that'll make a lot of sense and show a lot of value for you. So we'll see. But in terms of why we're qualified to talk about it, we've delivered over 100,000 personalized experiences and produced over 1 million AI assets that consumers and guests have enjoyed. Since we've been in operation, as Nicola says, since 2022, forming as, like many of yourselves, saw that rapid emergence of quality, the tipping point in generative AI, where suddenly LLMs were uncannily intelligent to talk to, and suddenly generative AI visual and auditory media was starting to get, really good. A bit ropey at first, but we could all see how incredibly fast it was improving, and we could all see the future that was coming 3 years ago, and it's upon us now, which is that there's no difference between traditional media and synthetic media. And then it's just about how we as creative professionals, marketers, business professionals harness that quality and what's possible with it now to do valuable, authentic things for ourselves and our consumers. What we did with it was flow it into a live AI experience that debuted in Auckland in 2023, which was, we believe, the first long-form generative AI narrative experience. And it was called Enter the Multiverse. And it was a show, sold tickets to the public, ran for 8 weeks, extended to 16. And it was a 3-act journey through every lifetime you might have lived in the past, present, and future, and kind of immersing you into a trip into a time machine, really. All the different sliding doors lives that you might have lived as a gentleman to a barbarian, and on to some kind of future hero. But it had some really neat stuff, like the ability, we had a 10-minute documentary that we showed people that had interviews with their grandchildren in the future about the legacy of what they lived. So it really opened up some, it was purely about entertainment, about experience, but it showed us that you could orchestrate these different AI models together with purpose, with narrative, and produce something in real time for each guest that was going to be surprising, satisfying, and safe for them to watch. And we've built from there our platform, which we call HyperCinema. Now, anyway, all that to be said, you're here today because you are excited about AI, and you are an AI, and you are a marketer. This is the AI Marketers Guild. Marketers are extremely excited about AI. I don't need to tell you about that because you're already using it in your day-to-day life. I'm sure you've probably touched generative AI a dozen times today already, right? So you're excited about AI. You're using it. You should be excited about it, but we believe there's a true superpower that's to be unlocked by marketers, and that's what our focus is. What's the problem? What's the challenge? What's the opportunity that we see for marketers? I'm telling you things you already know here, but it's just to set up the space that we see, the opportunity within. In today's media landscape, noise is high and attention spans are short. We talk 3-second increments to capture attention or to lose your moment with a consumer. And any time that's going to reduce 2 to 1, the attention there's no more valuable currency in today's landscape than attention, and nothing more fleeting. Right? So in that fleeting moment, in those high stakes moments when marketers have to capture attention, what connects people with brands and products, which is what you do, most powerfully? What's the one thing throughout time that everyone cares about the most and will always care about the most? It's themselves. How do I avoid pain and maximize pleasure for me, right? That's always what it boils down to. So connecting with people is, the key component of how we maximize effectiveness of campaigns. The more you target your creative, we want to serve this thing, this message, this offer to people most like the people that I want to reach, the more effective it is. So that's the thing that you're always weighing up is how can I make this version of the ad more effective for the person I want to reach? What people do I want to reach? These are the things that consume our waking lives because it works when you get it right. And you're already doing it, right? Professional marketers, you are already harnessing all of the tools that have been available and you're working them hard. So that means personalized emails. We say, hi, Conrad, in an email because it works, Targeted advertising. You want to serve the ad to me that's most likely to be relevant to me, right? So I get, I get my ads about executive fitness courses, and Jen will get her own ads. You have tranches of ads, variations that you create, and then you have those prepackaged and serve them to people that it's most likely to resonate with. And product recommendations, obviously, huge part of our lives and a huge kind of fundamental power tool of the early wave of AI, which is here's some things you are more likely to like than some other things you aren't. But AI is changing everything. More is possible. You have that feeling. That's why you're here today, and you want to go deeper. Right? And we believe that the fundamental unlock here is the ability to move beyond curation. Here's some things that we've already made within the budget and the time that we have that we think will work for you because people like you, segments, groups, to generation, right? Which is rather than merely saying, here's the box, saying here's what's in that box. We can generate it for you. We can make it the content for you in the moment. And that is the future that we all see coming. And it's the future that's already unlockable to you now, right? That you're not watching Netflix. Here's a show you might like. You are going to be watching Netflix. Here's a show generated for you, for how you feel tonight. That is the future that's coming, right? Generation, real-time generation of content. So we know that this is, we know that personalization, segmentation, targeting is powerful, right? And then you always have to make the choice about, or previously, you've always had to make the choice about where you stop, right? How deep am I going to go on segmentation? How targeted am I going to be? Marketers want to personalize more deeply. This is I think a Gartner research from last year. And I think this shows some really critical, needs and desires within the marketing space. Budget, that the challenge. What's the challenge to personalizing more deeply? The budget and the resources to execute it are like if I make something for everybody, getting my team members to do that, getting my production company to do that, eventually the wheels fall off that model. You just can't do it, right? You're talking about trying to build a better horse there, and the horse can't ride fast enough. But on the other side, you've got managing customer and consumer expectations. Our lives are increasingly tailored. Our digital lives are tailored to us, right? And if you're not tailoring advertising to people, they're not getting the same experience that they expect when they use Google, the same experience they expect when they use Netflix, right? So it's jarring to go from, my digital life is, molded for me to go to, okay, here's something that everybody else has got. That's jarring. And creating and delivering relevant content, to keep up with the demands of personalization, that's challenging. Why is all that challenging? Perennial challenges for marketers, right? You're always trying to do as much as you can with as little as you have. So creative bottlenecks, small teams or outsourced teams overwhelmed by content demands. brand consistency. The more you produce, the more you have to check, approve, make sure that your team or your partners aren't drifting on the quality, on the brand guidelines, adherence, and so on. Right? That's hard to maintain across people. Inefficient workflows. We'll talk to this more in a moment. AI may accelerate you personally, but there's only so fast one person can go. So manual tasks are slowing you down. And then integration complexity. This is always a challenge of personalization, is fragmented views of customers, hard to get information about out of one system and into another, hard to serve the content, so the in and the out is always a challenge, right? And what we're seeing, talking to and working with marketers, is that we're all exploring at a great rate of knots. How can we improve our own workflows with AI tools, right? So we're using LLMs, we're using Midjourney, and so on. Went to a great talk locally in Adelaide last week, very experienced marketer, and it was really interesting to see him, experimenting with trying to solve all of these problems himself, but being frustrated with the kind of walls you hit using AI tools one-on-one, which is, you're using a generic AI tool that knows nothing about your brand, nothing about your intention. It's very deep technology that you're able to get results out of quickly, but not great results or trusted results out of quickly. So something that starts quick, that you go, oh, this is going to be quick, I'll jump in and do this. Suddenly, you've spent all day on it. You're furious, and you don't have a great result, or you've jumped in, you've happened to get a great result, and it's worse than it's that gambling effect, right? It worked for me once, it's going to work for me next time. It may not, right? So that's the challenge of using one-on-one AI tools. We love them; they're great. They have a lot to do to improve in our kind of workflow of sending emails, preparing for webinars, whatever it might be. But when you're trying to run a campaign off it, and you're trying to run a campaign at scale, you hit the wall on it. The solution. So I'm going to hand over to Jennifer. Talking stick is yours.
Yeah, cool. All right. So thanks, Conrad. So as we talked, we have those 4 key challenges that marketing teams are facing, especially with delivering personalized content. And so realistically, you're stuck between costly delays with traditional techniques, kind of overspending and running around place to place, trying to piece everything together and deliver it on time, or risky AI inconsistency with manual tools. Like, I know I love my Midjourney, I love all of it, but a lot of it is time consuming. You have an image, you've got to go in and make sure everything looks good, make sure logos are gone, make sure things are as they seem. I mean, hands. You have to fix so many hands, like otherwise it's just, it's quite time consuming. And what really kind of bridges everything together is going to be intelligent scale. What gaps kind of fills in those gaps between all of those bottlenecks and processes that are inefficient is the ability to scale that content. And so with the scaling of that content, you're able to go from just creative to a creative engine. And so when that creative engine is moving and has the right guardrails in place, you can get infinite variations that are always on brand. And so these are key factors in how you can actually utilize AI to break down the barriers of reaching your consumers and making sure that they're feeling connected. So it's about going from the 1 to 10,000. So basically, one image for 10,000 people, but when you can scale that up and create 10,000 images or 10,000 individual connections, then you have a one-to-one connection with your consumer. That's a human-to-human connection between brand and consumer. So that's the holy grail here. That's where you're able to say, instead of just, hi, Peter, actually, Peter, here's something you really love. come meet me over here and let's have a chat about it. Or let's actually put you into that space with it and make you feel seen, heard, and connected. And so that's really here what it's all about. That's the Holy Grail. It's being able to expand on that personalization without having to worry about cost, whether or not that consumer feels seen and heard, and also the timing of it all, and just the overall need to provide content at scale that's brand specific as well. And so really that's what our platform has been built around. Although we have started out in live experience, we've seen that these pillars, 3 pillars basically that we focus on, safety, scalability, and quality, is something that's important across all of these avenues, not only just live experiences, but also within marketing and brand activations as well. So that's how our automation platform has been created, is focusing on these 3 key factors. And so next slide, please, Conrad.
You want to?
Yeah, go.
Oh, I'll just build on that slightly to say, I think what this all adds up to for me is trust, right? That you can run the system and you're going to produce safe, fast, and consistent results every time. And like Jennifer said, that was something that was really honed in live experience, where I think it's fair to say we kind of solved the hardest challenge first, right? Which is that when you've got somebody waiting in line, queuing on a screen, and you've got to serve content to them immediately that is beautiful, surprising, exciting, and safe, right? There's no more vulnerable moment for a brand than to produce something that's never been seen before in real time and serve it directly to a guest. And we'll talk about why it's not served directly to a guest, why there's a whole lot of guardrails behind the scenes, but there's no more high stakes moment than, brand, guest, right there. And so that really forced us to be extremely robust on these central pillars, that it's got to be high quality, it's got to be scalable, and it's got to be safe.
I mean, you can't hide. When that image pops up and somebody sees themselves, there's a 1-second window. And so you need to make sure that all of those pillars are met. Otherwise, you're kind of up the creek without a paddle, really. So we'll hit on the safety element and kind of what our live experience has built in, as well as where we're going with everything is governance, right? So we have a platform that understands your brand. It's a brand OS, right? We are able to take your tone of voice, all of the information that encapsulates your brand, because that's really the most important thing here, is making sure that your brand is represented every single place. And, so we have the ability to auto-moderate and curate as well through that. So as long as the system understands who your brand is, who your consumer is, it's able to go through and really curate those results for you, to make sure you're not getting those random logos, to make sure that person isn't showing something inappropriate. So that's really key here. And that's one of the big issues that we face, is making sure that your IP is protected. What people see is going to be safe. Their data is protected. We have a purge at the Cultural Hall of Fame after 2 days. Unless we are creating merchandise for you with your experience, your data is purged. And we make sure that everything is kept within enterprise security infrastructure. And we've got ethical guardrails as well. I mean, these are base level ethical guardrails and then catered to your brand and what your consumers want. So on one hand, we can cater to major ethical guardrails, making sure everyone's represented properly, making sure skin tones match, making sure that, random logos aren't popping through. And then also, if you have a specific ethical component based around your brand, we can integrate that as well. And so really that has been a key factor in making sure that every live experience and every asset that's delivered is really catered to the brand and the safety of not only the brand, but your consumer as well. Did you want to add anything to this, Conrad?
Oh, no. I mean, probably just that the point to make is that it's highly configurable, because every brand, every agency is going to have their own processes in terms of approval, in terms of brand guidelines, and it's about the fact that it's very configurable to that, right? So you can choose to pre-approve every piece of content that's generated and have that be a master. You can choose to have it run, automatically. 10,000 will be made, distributed. You know that it's safe. You know that you're putting yourself, your brand is being put out there, beautifully and safely. Or you could choose to, random sample test them. It's all configurable, but you've got these guardrails built in the system that mean that trust is always maintained, that that you're going to have brand fidelity and content safety.
Definitely. So the other component is scalability. So making sure things come out on time, in the right way, to the right people. And so, one part of that is the real-time generation aspect, but other parts are making sure that you're connected to the right platform, your CRM is connected, and making sure that the right people are getting the right content. And we cater to best-in-class models, so you don't necessarily have to worry about or be an AI expert to enjoy what our platform offers. So best-in-class AI models, we're always testing, we're always moving forward, we're always integrating the best, next, greatest thing. So you don't really have to worry about anything but coming in and scaling and growing your campaigns. And yeah, we believe in making sure that every campaign as well is catered towards what your cost, what basically your budget is and your cost. So we could have an AI workflow that is, cents on the dollar per image or generation. And then for something like Seehoff, where you have like a 17 touch point experience, you're looking at $4. But realistically, when you're looking at cost, when you're going to something like Seehoff, it's per ticket. If it wasn't a cost-effective orchestration, you can't really increase the ticket. So you've got to make sure that whatever you're producing is taking into account the venue, the brand, the agency's budget, but also delivering with impact. And so that's kind of where we fit also within all of this.
Yeah. Team have done a huge amount of work on the platform such that it's very quick, very optimized, and that includes also optimizing all of the techniques and the workflows that we use. It matters, right? When you're producing when you're doing anything at scale, small increments matter, right? So we put a lot of effort into the efficiency, and then as Jen says, it's about balancing the creative intent with the business goals, right? We're not here to serve marketers, guitar solos. And winning awards and so on. It's that's part of it, and we're absolutely we want to support amazing, incredible creative, but volume matters, right? And so it's about crafting the most impact for what you want to achieve for the creative that you want, but it's mostly about the business intent, right? And setting that up correctly. So that's again, and you'll probably hear this from me a lot. Again, it's very flexible. So that's a part of the briefing that we'll talk to is understanding your requirements there, and it's there's a lot of smart ways to run these workflows.
Yeah, and then the quality, right? So I mean, we've all seen kind of what's out there. Some of it is you're inundated with just slop. It is unintentional. It's almost like just a free-for-all of content that's created with no intention. And so the goal of what we do really has always been around craft and making sure that everything that's created is intentional, on brand, and feels like you really have gone to a high-end agency and you've created this campaign. We're not here to deliver, just nonsensical imagery. We're here to make it feel personalized. And so, we integrate VFX pipelines with what we do. We make sure that there's brand asset integration. When, we go back we custom these AI workflows. So the quality you get is the quality that you want. We make it for you. And so really, that's, I think, the number one thing that we started out with was creating cinematic level experiences that now kind of go into campaigns and those brand activations. And so that's just the key component. You can't get away from it. And unfortunately, when you look around, there just seems to be quite a large amount of low quality content coming out. And it kind of makes people feel like AI is just that. And we're here to say, no, it actually can be high quality and delivered with the integration of standard level tooling as well to create that cinema quality.
And I'll add that your high-end ad agency still has a lot of value in this.
Oh, 100.
So we'll talk to that more. So don't sack them off. We need them. I think this is one of the other. This is really one of the key things we want to get into your, try and incept into your minds. As the new paradigm really that's at play here, which is, let's think about going from creative. I need to commission some creative. They've provided some creative. Oh, I can go off and ship this creative to creative workflows. So, this is a view of traditional production. This is kind of as it has stood since time immemorial. You write a brief into your creative production partner. You go back and forth on that brief, work out the budget, the timeline, the deliverables. You have to refine your brief, take it down a little bit. And then they deliver creative, back to your work in progress. You might be on the shoot, you're reviewing, right, but you've got that back and forth. But primarily it's through your brief. Your brief is how the brief is your primary point of control. And then that brief is fulfilled. You get singular outputs, TV commercial, cut down, 50 banner ads, whatever the output is. But if you want more, that's another round of creative. You have to decide what you want to achieve with that and decide what's most important to you. And there's an opportunity cost to doing that each time. Once you've, targeted one particular segment, had the creative outputs for it, you can't target another one, or you can target them less. Or if you want to test creative, you want to try one approach, you've made that commitment. You've spent that money, spent that time, going back, it's a rebrief, right? So it's this constant kind of thing, and in each row, you either have to go back and beg for more budget, or you just have to do less and less. Right? And personalization at scale is not really possible within this paradigm, right? So because you just can't do that many versions. You can't create that many variations. So again, you need to make those choices about how big the segments are, who's going to be in it, who's most important, who's like the other person, and I can kind of smush personas together. But this is how it stands. One brief, one output. Every round of creative is a new cost, new time, and a new opportunity cost. What we're saying is the new paradigm, and what our platform is built to support is this concept, right? You don't brief in creative production, you brief in a creative AI workflow that's customized for your brand, for your campaign, and that can be seeded with beautiful, first off one-shot creative campaign from your ad agency and photo shoot, and it's incredible, and all those things that it should be, right? But that's establishing the start of the campaign, and we're building a creative AI workflow that then has that tone, that sensibility, that look and feel, and can be, you're briefing it once, you're telling us all the variables that you might want to change, all the control that you want to have, and it's got a lot of, it really is in many ways the same as what you do now, right? You're still you're still having those collaborative conversations about who's the audience, what's the messaging, what's the tone, what's the attitude, what's the look and feel, all of those kind of things. But instead of going, okay, now creative production, we're going to go out and shoot that thing, or now we're going to, hand that over to the offshore production team, and they're going to come back with the banner ads. We're building your creative AI workflow that becomes an asset that you can run yourself whenever you want, right? So you're briefing once, we're building it for you, you have direct access, and then you can create infinite outputs, varying it as you need it. And that can be anything from, coming in and saying, all right, type in a text change, to coming in and saying, I want to generate some more background imagery for this. It's going to be trained within your brand style, the campaign style. It's going to be on point. It's going to be safe. You can come in and create more variations. or you
and it's meant to amplify creativity in teams. This isn't to replace people. We'll always have more and more on our plates to deal with, and a lot of the back and forth and the double handling is actually kind of counterintuitive to creativity. So what this does is it allows the messy middle to be automated, and for everyone in the creative team to come together and amplify that creativity and to push things in new directions. So this is made for people to work with people and to push along that creativity.
Yeah, and to give you direct control to make changes or to run automations or whatever's needed to support your campaign. But the key thing is your control goes beyond the brief. You now have direct control to run beautiful, safe, creative outputs based on the changes that you want to make around content or intent or connecting to data and running automated processes.
Yeah, so that means basically your brand, your control, and your campaign. So this is what it's about: empowering teams and letting them push their brands and their products further. And so I'd love to showcase, because I'm very conscious of timing. Let's just push through, Conrad, into kind of what we do and what's possible. Yeah.
What can you do? Generate infinite campaign assets. What does that look like, Jen?
Well, so this is going to be where we transport you into your perfect moment. So either with your product, your fan moments. In this case, what we have here is kind of reminiscent of processes or workflows that we're currently creating for our Fortune 100 company in HC we're working with on that campaign. So in this case, you have Sarah, who really loves to drink Alrini wine. She's, enjoys going on holiday with her girlfriends and toasting to life, and enjoys beautiful sceneries and kind of the finer things, and kind of taking all of that information, that data, bridging it together to create a personalized ad for her. So basically, summer's calling. Come on down, let's have a drink. And I'm thirsty. So, and I'm not even Sarah. And then we have Tom, who is, I know, I'm not even Sarah. Tom, and he loves the beach. He's a chill dude who wants to just hang out and just enjoy the waves and sit by the ocean. And what he gets is his personal ad. Your golden hour is served. You're on the beach with your surfboard, drinking a wine. So, it really is able to create that memorable connection in that moment to you. And this is infinite. So we have Tom, we have Sarah, we could have Tim, Stephen, Jennifer, Stephanie, and all of those ads are created for them.
Yeah, and that targeted creation, not curation, can be done at any Zoom level. So you can say, all right, it might just be men, woman, might be, targeted by, demography, might be targeted all the way down to individual. If you've got, set of VIP, you've got a CRM that has great information about people, whatever it may be, the way that you connect that data can be manual, can be automated, and that automation can come, from anywhere based on, like we said, what your view of the consumer is. Right? So do you have good information about them? Have you run questionnaires and surveys to those consumers before? Or is this a campaign website engagement, or however you have that, whatever data you have, whatever you know about group segments, individuals, we can weave those through as creative variables.
Definitely.
And I think that just, that illustrates this, this concept and, geography. Where are you in the world at the moment? Daylight, what is it? A beautiful day? Is it we can pull in weather variables. We can pull in location variables. We can pull in mood variables. I mean, it's what we work with you to work out, what data you have, what view of your customers that you have. And then how might we weave that into your creative, your real-time creative, that's going to engage them more deeply. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Then we can move to
another mechanic.
Fans. Oh, sorry, there you go. Yeah, sending fans into the world. So basically, this is kind of touching on the experience that we had with F1. So where we basically take you and put you into the image with your favorite hero. So in this case, we've used one of my colleagues' aunt, and this he made himself. So he was loving a little bit of Tiger Woods. So he decided to take himself onto the golf tee and put him there with his favorite fan. But this would be potentially something that you'd go to an event and be able to see yourself in that moment. And it's quite customizable to your imagery, whatever you're looking to use. So Conrad, did you want to touch on some of the techniques as well? Because you had a really great, you were talking about it earlier.
We're eating into question time here, aren't we?
Okay.
So we'll go at pace, but we abstracted this a little bit because the client is embargoed on the F1 activation we did, but it was huge for them. They got 4 times the fans that they were expecting, kind of flocking over to this area of the fan zone because you're getting these photoreal branded assets of you with your hero inside the environment that you love, whether it's out on the links or whether it's race side in Formula One. And so, it's what you're seeing here, the through line with AI is that we're talking quality at scale and personalization at scale, isn't it? There's no way that Tiger can have a selfie with 10,000 fans unless he can, right? And people get a huge kick out of it. And this is, we opened this August last year in Atlanta, GA. It's been a huge success. I'll show you some stats that we've had in recently. But here's the concept, right? People love college football in the States. They had a fabulous museum at the College Football Hall of Fame, but it was really, built for diehard fans, full of fantastic memorabilia, but it's not going to, engage the casual fan or engage the kids. So we worked with collaborators over there and built this experience that takes in your customer inputs, your data inputs. So that's the idea of the, creative variables. In this case, the guest face, their favorite food, their favorite team, all that kind of thing. Rapidly generate content that puts them into heroic stories throughout the history of college football, right? Cheerleaders, famous coaches. You can see there on the right-hand side, paintings of the very first games of football in the late 1800s. Or a chap in the middle coming out onto the field and seeing himself up on the Jumbotron, generated as a surprise pick for the Atlanta Falcons with his season stats and an American commentator, a generative audio talking his play-by-play. And it's, for people to see themselves in these worlds that they love, crossing through the looking glass into, film, photography, and so on, they get an absolute kick out of it. It's a really social experience for people. And, like Jennifer said, we're generating 17 different creative touch points at this. By the time they go from the lobby where they've captured up a flight of stairs to start their experience, it's processed for them. It's real-time content that's never been seen before, but that's safe, on brand, and features one of 764 different teams. So a lot of brand fidelity adherence to look after there.
Yeah.
And so a little bit more of a sample of the range of creative look and feel there. You can see there's from 1980s Polaroids to kind of high definition, modern, Nike style advertising. We really can reproduce any style in any media. And so when we're setting up that creative AI workflow for you, there really is, almost none, and about to be none, distinction between legacy media and synthetic media. And so it all comes back to the human side of things, which is what's the creative intent, what's the business goals. We collaborate on that, and then we produce you a creative AI workflow that you can run as many times as you want with whatever variables you need to create infinite variations to meet your customers' desires, needs, right? This is some stats we've had back, just had back a couple of weeks ago as we approached the first anniversary of the install. They've seen 22% rise in attendance, 75% in retail sales, 28% dwell time. Dwell time equals money in live experiences, and 13% rise in Net Promoter Score. So it's been a really exciting activation for the team now. I applaud them. We made it. Thank you. Got a bit breathless at the end there, but what we'd love to hear is what does it inspire? What problems might personalization at scale solve, and what opportunities might it unlock for marketers? Love to hear what inspires.
Yeah. And Nicola, also, I'm happy to jump in also. I see we've had quite a few questions. I'm happy to backtrack on that if we'd like as well.
Yeah, well, Philip, how about you jump in, because you can ask the question.
Okay. The bit that I like about the personalization is great, but picking on, say, Tom and the wine on the beach,
yes.
If I'm Tom, I'm quite happy for you to know that I have a wine issue, but I don't know that I want my wife to know that I've got a wine issue, and I certainly don't want my kids to know it. What I just wonder is, how secure is that private information that I've given you so you can personalize it in that way?
So a lot of that private information would be provided by the brand or agency, whatever that company is. So we would just be taking it almost like a data port, spitting out that information, and we're not keeping any of it. We are literally just a data throughway. So that's exactly what happens with College Football Hall of Fame. We get that information, it's purged. If the College Football Hall of Fame wanted us to pass on some of that information, because we do have the quiz, we could, but in reality, we purge most of it. It's all gone. So we don't hold on to data. We're not a data center. We integrate and we push through.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
And then it comes down to more traditional concerns about how and where you serve that.
Yep. Thank you.
And Anna Chair was saying, so asking around in terms of using, I guess, licensed copy like Tiger Woods and all that. So how do you get around that? Because I know you talked earlier about making sure that the right logos were or weren't in, and brand safety, but how does it go with all the licensing?
So in this case, with that, it was just an example with Tiger Woods. For the F1 experience, we were provided the brand's photographs, and that is, we work with brands' IP. We are careful with it. We get handed it, we work with it and within their guidelines. This isn't we just randomly take things and spit it out there. This was just an example of what an experience could look like with a hero. But in reality, we would probably be working with someone who has the rights to the image with Tiger Woods, and then we'd be putting them in it.
And it was interesting, being a market researcher, I was so excited to hear, how plugging in your CRM, because to your point around infinite application, I mean, if your CRM and your customer profiling, has a long tail, exactly that. I think before with traditional segmentations, people were like, I can only apply it in so many different ways, whereas this is actually bringing that to life. So that it goes beyond demographics, that psychographic profiling. Oh my goodness, you can have an absolute field day. So that's amazing. I guess one of my questions, coming back to an earlier, and I'll definitely be mindful of time as well, but like we talked about ethical guardrails, and of course ethics and AI is becoming a hot topic. So how would you define, I mean, Jennifer, you talked about skin tone and being represented properly, but how else would you define ethics when it comes to a brand and how they use AI?
Well, I guess it's dependent upon the brand themselves and whether or not, I mean, some brands are, working with people, some are working with, items, products within different constraints, within different countries, with the different cultures. So I think like ethical kind of, I think, breaks down into a few components, making sure you represent people honestly, fairly, making sure that you're taking into consideration, how well the brand is represented, making sure that you're not representing other brands within it, making sure that data is really honed in and purged properly or routed correctly, so there's no external access. I mean, those are kind of the key pillars of what we're seeing right now. And then, of course, you have ethical guidelines on how a brand should talk, how they should interact with their consumer. It's quite a multifaceted question because there's multi-layers to it. It's, normal ethical considerations, and then you've got the brand layer on top. So we just try to always make sure, if we're ever dealing with people, that they're represented fairly, and that we're making them feel good and uplifted and elevated in who they are. And that's a huge component also of what we do when we are creating these experiences, is making sure that everyone is represented in their best way, and not in this curated perfection way, but that they feel good about it when they leave.
Yeah, and I love that. But I think, to your point, and even as you touched on with the safety, because as you said, normally you'd be able to, a brand person would sign off on each bit of creative and all that, but you can't sign off on 10,000 pieces at scale in real time.
Yeah, we build those in. So we do have checkpoints. So what would happen is, let's say you have a component, say you want to create a product photography. You can get multiple outputs of that. So beforehand, we have a curation AI that's been trained on your brand guidelines, everything that's acceptable. In the same way that we do at College Football Hall of Fame, it analyzes the image, makes sure nothing's wrong. If it is, it flags it and passes it on. So then what happens is it makes it through that. Someone comes in and manually checks a portion of it. And then there's multiple checks, human and AI, that go through the workflow. So we're not, like I said, this isn't about pulling people out of work. It's about making work easier for them. So it's allowing you to elevate that creative without getting bogged down in something that actually is probably more efficiently done by an AI trained on what your brand stands for and what's good and what isn't. So that's kind of the checkpoints that we also put in there. There's human curation as well, but there are AI curations beforehand, because you're right, you can test 10,000, but that mixture of the two is where the sweet spot is, where you can have an idea of what's going out and making sure with the AI that everything is 100% perfect.
I think it's also, I totally agree, and it's also about, part of the configuration, is making sure that your company's policies and your brand values are part of that configuration, right? Because the same thing that you do on a manual workflow, which is that, hey, this person goes and checks this and is it appropriate and so on, is the same thing that is done at scale. Right? We build in the logic and the rules to make that possible at scale. So, for instance, the F1 client we just worked with, they have policy where they don't want their current policy is they don't want their drivers generated, right? They're comfortable to have fans generated, but not to have drivers, cars, or environments generated. So we customize the workflow around that, keep the drivers as canned content, and then generate the guest experience uniquely around that. So you just modify things to work with whatever it may be. Or College Football Hall of Fame, they sell kids and adults at different prices. They have an age cutoff. You sign the T's and C's to go, okay, I'm over 16, I'm under 16. We calibrate our experiences to have different experiences for kids than you do for guests. And to recognise whether guests are kids or adults and serve them an experience that's commensurate, right? So part of it is about calibrating the workflows to reflect a company's policies and values. And I think the other thing is just ethically being an ethical AI creative studio, right? That our team aren't in there utilizing prompts that reference artist names, or that do things that are untoward in that way, so that it's just being a good citizen in that space, but also you're not opening up our clients to any legal issues, or to we're constantly researching and onboarding new models. We want to favor models that are proactive with their data sets and that have good values and all those kind of things. So it runs across, when you say that ethical AI or ethical guidelines, it runs across a whole lot of activities, and it's making sure that it's good value for all parties, right? The agency, us, and the consumer. Go, Jen.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add as well that at the College Football Hall of Fame, they gave us permission to take some of their free bird paintings and train models on those. So we got permission from them, they're the owners, to train it, to then put people into it. So again, you're getting into who owns the IP and who's allowing you to use it. And that's where also that beautiful ethical.
Yeah, if we're fine-tuning models, we're fine-tuning it on owned data only for sure. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, look, thank you both
long answer
so
to a
much.
short question. Sorry, Nicola.
No, that's fantastic. Well, no, because I think it's one that is just, it's not going to, I mean, this is just only going to accelerate and escalate and become more complex. And so it's just really interesting to see, given, now the brands you're working with, how they're addressing it, but it's an education process for everyone. So, but look, we really, really appreciate your time. It was so fantastic to see. I mean, you guys are doing some incredible work, and so exciting to see what comes next. And I know there's quite a few things coming out in the next 6 months. So yeah, watch this space. HyperCinema, here we go. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great day, morning, evening, afternoon, and yeah, we'll talk soon.